Hello, everyone, and welcome to another riveting edition of Under the Floorboards. We laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night. I'm your host, John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Eric. How are you this week?
Twisty.
Like
this movie.
The twist in this movie was great, guys. It is time for one of our favorite things to do, which is pre-screeners. It's funny, right? Because this is a movie that we knew about last year when we were in Pittsburgh, and we were talking to Lynn Lowry, as some of you know from listening to our episodes where we talk about ourselves, which I'm sure is not many of you, but it was really cool because we've been really looking forward to this one. I know Lynn was very excited about this project, and thanks to the one and only, so he's the writer, director, and male lead of this movie, Guile Branco, who I
was going to say Guile. I'm glad you pronounced that.
Well, because he's Brazilian.
Guile.
Or Guile.
Guile.
I'm going to message him later and just I'm going to send him this first because in case we need to take anything out.
He's going to be like, my name's fucking Guile.
Fucking Guile. But really nice guy. I talked to him a while back about trying to check this out. I know they're having their LA premiere pretty soon. So if you're in the LA area, make sure you check that out. It's going to be on August 8th, which is really exciting. But again, I kind of gravitated to this film because we love Lynn Lowry so much. And there were some good performances in this film, don't get us wrong. But that was definitely the first thing, when we were talking to her about it in Pittsburgh. I know she was really excited about the project, and she didn't want to tell us too much, but she had some thoughts about this film in a positive light that we just can't really discuss because, again, the movie's not out yet. But if it's good enough for her, it's good enough for us, and we had a lot of fun watching it, right?
Agreed. Yeah, this is. I'm reading the description here on IMDb, and it literally says the tale of a dysfunctional family which ends in tragedy, and it's kind of funny. And I agree.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is one of my favorite things about independent horror films is how self-aware a lot of them are, and I think that shines a lot in this film. There's a lot of It's kind of like we were talking about with Massacre Academy, with Mark Cantu, and I guess it's kind of what Lynn gravitates to ultimately in a lot of her roles is when the writer and director gives you permission to laugh at shit because it's just funny. It's objectively funny, and the kills were awesome. The special effects were so much fun. The characters were really fun to follow, like Goth Girl. Loved Goth Girl. Or Susan, if you will.
Everybody just calls me Goth Girl.
Everyone just calls me Goth Girl. Is it because she's from Gotham?
Yes. I assume, well, we can't say. Never mind.
I don't know. You can say it. You can tell us to cut it out.
No,
but
right. I'm pretty sure I can't say what I was going to say.
Before we get into just a mini synopsis of what it's about, Eric, do you have any first impressions you'd like to share about this film?
I mean, everything you said already, I would say it's funny. I like tension breaking in movies that executes humor well, and it doesn't feel like that was thrown in there for the sake of breaking the tension. It feels like it was thrown in there to make you laugh.
Right.
And everything's very deliberate about this movie. It without, we can't talk about the details obviously, but the I'm just going to echo the twist one more time. And you actually said this out loud during our watch. You said, because none of the movie alludes to that twist at all. Nobody saw that coming, and it's genuinely one of those where it's just oh fuck. And
this
evolved into a big fucking problem.
Yeah, you feel like your tongue's sinking to your asshole.
Right.
You're oh God, why?
Right. Yeah, I really liked. I would say that my favorite element of this, just in general, is just the performances from everybody. I feel like everybody really owned their character, and played their parts, well enough to to communicate this story. Anyway.
Yeah,
it was just a good movie.
Yeah, I think this is going to do really well. I think this movie's a lot of fun. I think if this gets the right distribution, a lot of people are going to get to see this, and I hope they do.
It's got an 8.8 on IMDb right now, so apparently the people that have seen it completely fucking agree.
Yeah, absolutely. There was nothing that I just feel like if you're coming down on these indie films, you're just kind of an asshole.
Sure.
And like you just hate fun because again, like there's so much shit that is just so fun about this movie. And I think that's a part that horror gets to step into. And like, I know I talk about this a lot, but Mark Cantu's a really good example of that. Whereas like, I feel like people like David Liz are like on the other side of that, and that's fine. Like both sides are correct, but people are like, oh, that's not scary. It's like, well, it's not even real. So right. Why are you being a bitch?
Nothing in this realm could be scary. I think that like if this movie took itself any more seriously, it would detract from the like charm of it, and there are movies, like you said, that they need to be taken seriously. And it's, this is not one of them, not from a critical standpoint, but just from a writing and execution standpoint. It's supposed, like it said, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. And the writing and dialogue is so fucking funny in this film. But it is one of those things where I just kind of, I don't know, when I was expecting something different from when we talked about it with Lynn, and I was very pleasantly surprised with where we got to. Like, we knew a little bit about, if anyone has seen Model Behavior or Model Hunger, that Lynn Lowry joint, she plays a similar character in this one. So if you like seeing Lynn Lowry in leather, highly recommend this movie. Yep. It's funny too because she's so like she's one of those actors that has been around so long and seen so many developments and has really kind of encapsulated not taking yourself too seriously, but when you speak to her, she is one of the most eloquent speakers. She's done some of the best performances I've seen, and she's so humble at the end of the day.
I was going to say she's just really nice.
Yeah,
like,
and her ego's so aside because, like, if somebody came to me and asked me to do some of the shit that she did in this film, I would blush. Right. I would be as red as my fucking shirt right now.
Guess it's red. His shirt's red.
Wears black shirt.
Yeah. I'm wearing a shirt with buttons on it for the first time in like 5 years.
I know. I was like, you look clean.
I showered before I came over.
I looked at it, I was like, were you off today?
Yeah. You seem like you had more than enough free time between waking up and coming in here that you decided to take care of your body. Shall we dive in?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to let you summarize it because I will spoil something and I trust you.
Okay.
I should read the cast list first.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Is that a volunteer thing?
Yeah, because I volunteered you to do something, so I'm going to volunteer myself to do something too. I'm trying to be a better person. We're going to have to edit this section out, I think. Let me start over.
What are you talking about?
Because I don't. Lynn Lowry is Angela. Julia Coulter is Karen. How do you say it? Guile Branco as Mark. Lou D'Amato as Dr. Roger Park, Asia Lynn Pitts as Goth Girl / Susan, Pancho Moeller as Cujo, James Griggs as Richard, Jackson Layton as Stuart, Rajka Decca as Raymond, Della Malin as Violet, Joe Guintu as David Ross, and Dustin Jean as Nathan. After that, shout out to Mary O'Brimer as Grandma.
Yes, absolutely. Rest in peace. She got to play one of the creepiest fucking characters before she left this world. Honestly,
kind of like the glue.
Yeah.
That you remember when I was talking about tension breaking?
Yeah.
That's our girl. Anyhow, okay.
Yeah, I would say with this film, so we kind of we start off and, obviously we're not going to do the breakdowns, but Julia is more or less our main character, right? She's like our heroine of the story, our final girl, if you will. I might have to edit that out, but you kind of get that sense of it. With obviously her mom, Angela Long, played by Lynn Lowry. We open up with an incredibly dysfunctional dinner, right? And it almost feels like Thanksgiving, but people die or people get mutilated, and it's just like it kind of speaks to like there's very simple issues that the family's having, that really turn into like these mountains out of nowhere,
out of molehills, if you will. Yeah.
And it's really fun, and we have the best part is the way that Branco
Branco.
Really kind of takes this film and timestamps it because we have BC. He tells you at the very beginning there's like actual panels that will tell you that there's BC before Christ, AD, Anno Domini, and it's just like BH before Halloween. So for those of you who don't know, actually, because I don't think we've even fucking said the name of this film yet. I mean, you would think that people would have just read the title of this episode, but
It's Terrifier 3.
But it is a Halloween feast, which was originally named the Prodigal Feast or a Prodigal Feast. So I guess he changed. I think part of it was the name change kind of came along with when they're planning on getting it actually out to the public. And it's probably going to be around Halloween season. And I think the names are pretty interchangeable. I like tell us. I mean, I liked the name A Prodigal Feast because I just thought that sounded cool. But I think a Halloween feast kind of tells you what you're in for.
Strips it of its like, guise of what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you're distracting somebody from what's actually going on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
A subversion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big word.
I got there.
But we more or less follow Julia's character as Lynn Lowry has gone through some sort of psychological trauma and is trying to better herself, which is always crazy to watch from her because like she plays the psycho and psychoanalytic characters so fucking well, and it's so funny every time because there are some scenes in this film where she's delivering her dialogue with that like very posh Lynn Lowry style, and it's just perfect.
It's not even like an accent. It's just the way that she talks.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Everyone's like, is Lynn Lowry British? I'm like, I don't know how to do accents or speak eloquently, so it comes out as British every fucking time.
Ours is slight hyperbole, but no, she really does just talk like that.
And we follow her journey through. She meets a boy who is Mark, played by Branco himself, being the triple threat on this film. And I'm always curious about this, about what it's like to be the director and then be an actor as well. Like writer, director, that makes a lot of sense to me. But the last time we saw somebody do that was Mark being in a shot and not saying anything. So I'm just curious. I'd love to talk to Branco when this actually comes out. It's Branco too. Like I keep saying fucking Branco like he's running from the police.
Like the third letter of that word is an O.
Yeah.
I said it too. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
But yeah, and
he's gonna be like, it's Bronco. It's Guile Branco.
You fucking idiots.
Yeah, cut the whole episode and don't release it.
And so the movie kind of revolves around the story of how you integrate family back together through these trials and tribulations and trauma and shit by using comedy, midgets, cocaine, dominatrixes, and what's the
Boney.
Boney
And Boney.
and Boney.
Boney's in this movie, in case anybody was wondering.
Boney the dinosaur was absolutely he was the goat.
He was awesome.
He was the goat.
Yeah.
The final scene with Boney is like one of my favorite things I've ever seen, because it's like, I guess that's what heroes do at the end of this. And like, God, this is the part that does suck though, because like I want to talk about the twist so bad.
I know.
Because it's so out of pocket, which like so much of this shit was, and it was just so funny.
If I were to make a top whatever list of, like, it would basically just be twists that I love. This is going to be one of the first ones that I talk about with you. It's so perfect in so many ways.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to talk about for a second, you're talking about how, oh, by the way, guys, it ends with a Halloween feast. And a feast it was. But one thing that you brought up that I do want to talk about was Mary O'Bremer's character as Grandma, because she was the creepiest fucking thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a part where like Lynn Lowry is like making out with her husband, and then like the camera just pans and she's just like standing there. And there was something about the color grading, because she's like on a walker and shit, right? And her facial acting was fucking perfect in this film. And it was so funny to me because the way that angle looks is she's wearing like some sort of blouse that, you know, cuts at the bottom. So either way, there's this giant triangle under her stomach, and she's wearing black pants under that. So to me, it looked like she was just like her waist was up through her stomach, and then it was just legs. Like she was walking like a fucking ant. That shit was so funny.
Do you remember that? I can't remember what it was called in the movie, but there was a creature in the Dark Crystal that was like on stilts that they rode, and it could travel.
Fuck.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
That
big fucker that the Gelflings get on and ride across the plains. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
There's another scene too where like things are about to start getting like hot and heavy between two people in this movie, and you just see this lump at the end of the bed, like your dog who's been sleeping under there for the last 30 minutes.
That you forgot about.
Just pumps up and fucking gets to the front of the bed, and her fucking face comes out from under the blanket.
It's like the small 3-year-old child that wants to sleep in between mommy and daddy tonight.
Yeah, it
the screams the characters let out to her. So.
I don't think that she even had any lines of dialogue. I think she was just literally physical actor throughout this entire thing, which was so fucking funny. Yep. It was so fucking funny. Lynn's character we can't talk too much about.
I was going to highlight Julia a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Julia Coulter. Karen is her character's name. Karen is a complex person.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of layers to Karen's character, which I really enjoy. All
alcoholism,
of which,
ex-fatty.
Yeah. A lot of things I can relate to. But there was the tie-in at the end is just with some philosophical exploration of like, you know, nihilism and what is meaning in a world where a lot of this seems like a random accident and there aren't really any consequences to anything, you know. So it's like
the true idea that nothing matters.
Yeah.
And I'm really not gonna try and sound like an asshole when I say this, but that was really kind of the point of this movie. And they bring it up earlier, but I think when you're following that subplot throughout this film, even though it is the main theme, I think what Branco had out of this was freedom. Like he could truly just do whatever the fuck he wanted, and in plenty of scenes he did, which is why
it's great.
Which is why it hit so fucking hard. Like the one thing Eric and I were talking about was the little person in this film. We really wanted to shoot that 44 Magnum and do a fucking backflip, but
right.
Because that feels like his style after watching this film.
It's Martin Short's character in The Three Amigos where he fires that real gun and he's just sliding backwards. Wow! But no, I agree in that. There's that Nietzsche quote at the end of it, you know, that just explores those same ideas and things like that. And that's the important thing that distinguishes. I don't personally. I've read a little Nietzsche. He's interesting.
Do you have to do the hand thing when you say his name?
No, I do the hand thing all the time.
No, not the open palm slap a bitch hand. I'm talking about the Italiano.
The Nietzsche. Well, he wasn't Italian, so I don't
that's
think
why
so.
I was asking.
Yeah, I don't think you have to.
I don't know what Nietzsche is.
I don't think you have to. I think he was German. Friedrich was his first name. So
he's a little more
vaguely European.
Got it.
But he was I don't believe he was a nihilist. I think he gets confused as a nihilist a lot.
Okay.
I think he was a perspectivist because that was kind of what his whole thing was, founding perspectivism. And that whole idea is that your opinions on everything in the world is based entirely on what you see and experience as a human being. So like open-mindedness is one thing, but that's kind of like the basis through which, you know, perspectivism can exist, is you have to identify that everybody else in the world has their own perspective and therefore their own philosophy and concept of good and evil. And that's what this is about.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. And I think that's reflected in something we can't talk about, but something I think we can refer to, and I would love to hear from Branco when I send him this, is there was a not so subtle and I don't want to say blatant, But there was definitely a costume design that alluded to that same idea, and I was definitely feeling some Black Swan vibes out of it. Not the film, the actual story. And I don't know. I think underneath all of the jokes was really somebody who was like, I felt like Branco was getting off on some of this shit.
Telling and actually, like, you know, there were layers that people won't get.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like there's some actual depth to this.
Oh no, not my depth.
Yeah. I hate depth. I think a spider just crawled down my leg.
I bet it did.
And I showered today. I'm like that Fate from Hercules that like sucks a spider web back up her nose as it's like. Anyway, but no, I agree, and I think I'm really interested to see more shit from this guy. Because I want to see what the rest of the repertoire looks like, the forthcoming stuff looks like, and how much this parallels with this movie.
I would love to see this man get a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this was like, oh my God, it was so low budget. But, like, I would love to, like, and I say that about independent creators all the time, is like, I would love to see what they get to do with the budget, you know? And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the editing I was really fucking impressed with at the end of the day. I thought that there was a lot going on in there. And it's like, yeah, you see some of it, but it's like, come on, man. Like, it's got to be more forgiving than that. Like, there's a difference in noticing something and something being so bad that it takes you out of the story. And that absolutely doesn't even come close to happening in this film, which is part of the reason I think that this was so much fun to watch.
I agree. And part of the reason why I like, again, like I said, everybody that's seen it agrees.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I think my only gripe with this film is really what I have with anything is it should have been 90 minutes.
Yeah, this one could have been a little shorter for me.
Just for keeping pace sakes, because there's so many scenes that I think land so fucking hard and really tell the story. And, you know, we were talking about it earlier, and there's so many instances of old Hollywood that kind of happen that I think, to no fault of anyone else, but like transitional scenes and stuff like that for a lot of movie makers, it feels like reviewers are looking for, oh, well, shooby-doo-doo-doo-ah, and it's like, now we're over here now. And it's like you said, like, we didn't have to see a picture of, or a shot of the bar before we saw her at work. We can just put her at work. And I don't think that's the filmmaker's fault. I think that's literally, you know, just part of the ethos that Hollywood's kind of created.
And I'm curious if that's a nod to tradition or that's a requirement of an industry.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
It's amazing how many times I see just regular people complain about stuff like that, or not doing it, but I mean, like, actually not putting it in the film. You know what I mean? But overall, I mean, like, this movie pulled itself together really well. The special effects were so much fun. I love guns. And a lot of those scenes were a lot of fun.
Especially the one in the climax.
I would love to know what their blood budget was, because there was so much. Like, there was so much. Like,
yeah.
I love when they make cuts like they do in a lot of these scenes where someone's like filming a very specific spot and there's clearly someone on the other side with like a bucket. It's just like blood.
Do it now.
My Socrates is red now.
Manchester.
Manchester.
You from Manchester? You like Manchester?
And yeah, I'm actually excited. I'm going to do a write-up on this one as well this week. Jesus Christ, that was hard. You know, that'll be free on our Patreon. So, you know, if you ever want to check it out, you're more than welcome to. It honestly helps them get the word out and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we thoroughly enjoyed this film, and we love getting pre-screeners. We love
Lynn Lowry.
We love Lynn Lowry. Hopefully she'll be able to make it back on our show sometime, because she's just an absolute delight. If you ever have a chance at any of the conventions, which I know she goes to, she does a lot of special events and a lot of special screenings and stuff like that. She is an absolute delight.
Go say thank you.
And she can hold her liquor better than you.
It's also true. I lived through the 60s, darling.
I guess actually a quick story I want to tell for any of our new listeners out there was when we went to, I mean, obviously we met Lynn Lowry at the Wolf Hollow premiere. And
can our old listeners tell that this is the coolest thing we've ever done?
Well, I can't talk about the Boy from Below shit yet. But still, yes.
Yeah. Anytime you or me tells this story, I feel like that dad who, like, you know, scored the game-winning touchdown, you know, and then this came off the bench as a rookie or as a freshman.
We go down this elevator into this speakeasy in Pittsburgh to the after party for Wolf Hollow. And we had met Lynn earlier in the night. She was very, very sweet because, I mean, obviously when we wanted to get pictures with her, we had no idea that we were going to be sitting and having drinks with her later that night. But, you know, she had remembered us, and she comes to sit down, and she's like trying to give Eric a seat, and Brian Saponis' wife is sitting down, her manager's sitting down. And I was like, no, Lynn, like, you take the seat. Oh, you know what? And I was like, I went into like full bartending mode. And I was like, I will be right back. I went to the place where you're not supposed to stand at the bar unless they know.
Right.
And the guy comes to the end of the bar. He's like, how can I help you? I was like, I need 2 shots of Fernet and a beer, and I need a chair over here for somebody. And they were like, well, we'll see if we can move one over there. And I'm like, thinking to myself, first of all, I'm asking you to move a fucking chair.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to do it because I don't want to fuck up your flow, but I'm telling you to grab me a chair for over here. And he looks at me and goes, yeah, you know, we'll try and see what we can do about finding you a chair over there. And I looked down and I said, because to me, this was the most important thing that's ever happened in my life while it was happening. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't think you understand this. I am sitting down and having drinks with horror royalty right now. And he looks at me and goes, who is it? I was like, it's Lynn fucking Lowry. Go get me a chair.
Yeah. I'm not asking anymore.
And then he goes, he's like, hey, I need 2 shots of Fernet and a beer. By the way, this is like a very nice place that we're in. He's calling it down like we're at some fucking slum. And it was so funny to me.
They bartender slide the shots down. Some homeless guy intercepts one of them. You have to fight him.
No. And then we proceed. We actually had some appetizers with her as well, and that was hilarious.
They looked a lot like the ones that were served in this movie. I don't think that's edible.
She looks. Oh my God, this is absolutely horrible. And she was like, do you want one? I'm like, no. And she's like, no, take one. You have to know. Like,
see, I took one because I didn't want to say no to her.
It was just so funny that and this is like how genuine this woman is like, she wanted us to experience this with
the pain.
her.
Her assistant's like making calls. We got to get her something to eat. She hasn't eaten all night. We got to get her something. And you can, because the way it came out, the way it was plated was like we had ordered food from a kitchen that had closed 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Or started closing 10 minutes ago, you know, and they're just like, fuck it. Saturday night, we'll fire this up.
Yeah, I had one of those ribs though, and that shit was horrible.
I didn't know it was a fucking rib. I was using a fork and a knife because I didn't know it was a fucking rib. Len goes, honey, they're ribs. you don't need a fork. I was like, I didn't know. It didn't look like a rib.
And it turns out Lynn Lowry eats ribs just like the rest of us, one end at a time.
Mm-hmm. The teeth scrape, cleaning ribs.
But yeah, and again, like, we love her so much. We love this film. This is definitely going to be one of those ones, guys, where like, if you just want to have fun, if you want to have some laughs, if you're one of those people like myself, and I think I could speak for Eric on this too, if you're one of those people that love comedy and blood in the same ethos, this is definitely a film for you.
Sure. Completely agree.
And I like to think that, let's just say Lynn Lowry has played some slash. One night in Bangkok.
Oh, cool. Leave all that in.
Yeah. But I think this is going to be one of those films where, you know, the twist, like we said, the twist is great.
Oh, this is insanity.
Yeah. I think this is a twist that could make some people throw up, if I'm being totally honest with you.
100%. Is this movie scary? After the twist, it is.
And the subsequent shit that happens after
dude,
that, I was just like, oh God, why?
It is so repulsive.
And I think that's the part of the comedy that I really love is the shit that's just like, oh,
this dude.
Oh God.
Yeah. Branco don't give a fuck, dude. He don't give a fuck.
Oh man. Let's see. We also have some Russian roulette in this movie at one point. Like
that was what I was talking about, the gun scene, because this is the one where it was like
I was waiting for at the dinner table at the end for one of the brother to be like, well, where's mine?
Yeah, right.
That's a joke for Branco.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's so much fun. There's blood everywhere. It's really good storytelling. There's some fun characters that you'll find along the way. And the best part is a lot of those characters really don't matter. Mm-hmm. Much to the nihilistic idea that this movie's built on.
I'm not sure anything does.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and stare at my ceiling for the rest of the night after this is over.
I really hope that that people really receive this well because I'd love to see this in a theater. Sure. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch this again. I'll pay to watch this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any final thoughts?
Nope. That's it.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to really thank writer-director Branco for allowing us to watch his art and letting us review it ahead of time. And, you know, I really can't wait until this is like out and we can do what we normally do and do full spoiler breakdowns, because this is one that, like,
I want to talk about it.
There's some shit that had me in tears. I was laughing so fucking hard.
Yep.
And that's just good writing, you know. And
at one point he goes, "This is amazing."
But congratulations to Branco and the cast and crew on putting this together, and I can't wait to see what's next from you guys.
And we also apologize for pronouncing your name 11 different ways throughout the course.
I just figured if we did that, one of them would be right. Yeah. Or you like hit the first one and not the second one. It's like the shittiest parlay.
Yeah. It's like Russian roulette when you think about it.
Well, thank you guys for listening in once again, and thank you guys for joining us where it creaks, it cracks, and we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night.